Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz drummer, composer, and educator Jerome Jennings on his new 2019 CD called Solidarity. This new project is his second album, and he puts the spotlight on his writing chops, featuring his core unit of trumpeter Josh Evans, tenor and soprano saxophonist Stacy Dillard, pianist Zaccai Curtis, and Jennings' friend and mentor, the legendary bassist Christian McBride, along with some others on the album. It features 7 original compositions that are deeply concerned with the state of political and social justice in the United States on the cusp of the 2020s, particularly focusing on the experiences of African American women, examining them through the prisms of the Black Lives Matter and Me Too movements. Please have a listen to this interview.
All right, Jerome, hey, thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for reaching out.
Well, I had to, and I got to tell you, there is here at KC, we have the American Jazz Museum, and there's a wall in the museum where there's all of these hip, very cool covers to albums, and I love this cover, man. The fact that she's leaning back and she's, just looking at that album admiringly. It's just such a great, cool cover. So just off the bat, I just want you to know that.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Thanks, Joe.
So the one thing about this, this is a great sounding album, but I think the one thing that's really very important about this, and I ask musicians a lot about it, is my question, and I think you've answered this, and I want you to elaborate on it. What kind of social responsibility as an artist do we have in these modern times with what's going on? Is to say, hey, look, this is the way I feel, this is the way I see it, and I want you to know that.
You know what, Joe? Let me say first of all that I'm responsible for my actions and what I feel I need to do to better the world, right, or to better my environment. I've come to the point in my life where I'm not waiting or expecting anybody else to do that, because it sets me up for frustration, I found. I don't want to judge people. Everybody does what they have to do, and I do understand that every one of our actions, there's a reaction and there's a consequence. Even with this record, I know there's already been backlash. There's already been messages, that's been angry messages and that sort of thing from, I guess, videos that I posted. Some people don't want to deal with that. Some people don't want to deal with what the consequences might be. All of my heroes who have freedom fought, they dealt with consequences. Many of them never reached the age of 40, and that was a consequence, and they were willing to take that consequence and make that sacrifice. Artists, you do what you like. It would be nice if we could all, not a similar outlook, but react to our sick society with using our art to try to change it. Everybody's not going to do it, man, and it is what it is. Some artists will, most artists won't, unless it's fashionable. It might become a fad.
The other thing that's very clear with this album is it's just from an auditory standpoint, it's just such a great album. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's far. I mean, obviously there's a message, but when you went in the studio, did this evolve? Did you go in with a vision? What was kind of the overall vision of what you were doing with this project?
I definitely went in with a vision. I spent from the last recording to this recording, I did a lot of researching and a lot of observing, a lot of Democracy Now!, a lot of reading, a lot of just checking out what's going on in my environment. And I wrote these tunes musically and sonically. I started learning about people who I felt I should have known about and that I feel like other people should know about. And I wanted to write tunes. I learned about a woman named Reese Taylor, and I actually heard a melody in my head that, in a concept around her life, it has a direct correlation with the concept that I have behind the piece. I heard her situation and what happened to her through the piece, and that happened with every piece. I heard Mary L.A. Franco speaking. I knew what she was talking about, but I didn't know specifically what she was saying, because when I began writing that piece for Mary L.A. Franco, there was no documentary on her in English, and now there is one. And that came around after I had written the piece. I got that from her vibration, from what we go through what people of color and what we are dealing with in America. And I understand that this is an international problem. This is a global issue. This is not And, you know, I came to that conclusion listening to her. You know, it became more clear listening to her speak. She's a very fiery woman, very flamboyant, and very no-nonsense, and very intelligent. So I wanted that to be a part of the piece. That's how this music came about, me trying to educate myself, get more of an understanding of the most vulnerable people, I feel, who are in our society.
The one thing that we have right now in our music world is we have a plethora of choices. Committing to an album it's a big thing for a fan. My question to you is this. The person that buys Solidarity and commits to this album, what do you want them to get from this experience?
First off, I want them to feel like it's good music, okay? Everybody's not an activist, and everybody's not someone who will pump their fists and who will, you know, lace their boots up and go fight for people's freedoms or for, you know, expose people's, you know, society's ills. I want people to listen to the recording. I want them to dig on the music. I want them to discover some people that they may not have known and that they may not have known existed in our global society, in our world, and concepts that's happening that are a bit sick, like stand your ground. I think that's something that needs to really be assessed. It needs to be hashed out and checked out, and hopefully look at these women like they're heroes, people who took a chance and made decisions that weren't necessarily the most popular decision. They made it, and they stood by their decision and how they wanted to live and how they would like our society to be shaped and what direction it should go in. But also, I want musicians to hear it and say, man, those are some nice harmonies. I wanted the musicians to hear it and say, man, I like what he's doing with the horn. The drumming is, and you know, I wanted to hit on all cylinders. Yeah. All cylinders. Yeah. Like Max Roach did for me when I grew up listening to him, or my generation's Public Enemy, man. That's the greatest hip-hop group of all time. And the greatest hip-hop artist is Rakim, and he hits on so many cylinders, not just cunning rhymes, but the message behind it and the integrity behind it. I wanted to hit on all cylinders. I wanted to get your ear. I wanted to get to kind of jar at your conscience. I wanted to have, as Amiri Baraka would say, have teeth. I don't want you to be comfortable listening to the record, but I also want you to feel good about what you're hearing. I want you to be able to whistle the melodies that I've written, you know? I just wanted to hit on all cylinders. I don't want it to just be, this is virtuosic modern jazz or virtuosic music or, man, this is great. I never heard anything like this before. But that's it. I don't want it to be that.
Right on. Well, I think that's what you've done. I can't wait to play this for my audience. Jerome, thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. Good luck with the album, and thanks for the music, man.
Man, hey, Joe, thanks for reaching out to me, and I appreciate your interest in this project. The questions that you just asked me, this has been the best interview I've gotten so far. I'm not throwing shade to anybody else, but it's informed and it's very relevant, and you're talking about this particular recording. I keep getting these interviews and people are talking about the beats, man. Thanks for reaching out to me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in New York, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Jerome for his time, his music, and his courage. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.